I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving with your family or your friends. I'm very thankful that you're watching and listening. Today we start with a question from a reader. Do you talk to the guy right after you like or match with him on a dating app, or do you wait after you match for a while to give him the opportunity to initiate? My name is Evan Mark Katz. I'm a dating coach for smart, strong, successful women and your personal trainer for love. Welcome to the Love You Podcast. Keep listening to learn whether you should reach out first on a dating app. When we're done, I'll let you know how you could apply to Love You to create a relationship that makes you feel safe, heard, and understood. So this is a really common question. I received it via email, but I actually happen to have talked about it in my Love You Live coaching program this week. And I discovered that a few people were surprised at the answer, which is why I thought it was perfect for a podcast. And like most decent advice, I think the answer is pretty nuanced. So stick with me for this one and see if you could see another perspective rather than the most obvious one. So I want to acknowledge a few things to begin. Yes, in general, I believe that men demonstrate their interest with their effort. Certainly, I spend a lot of time talking about how we weed out guys based on lack of effort. So a man making an effort does say something. Yes, I believe in the concept of feminine energy, in as much as being receptive to a man's advances is better than generally chasing a guy down with the kind of guy you want. You don't have to chase him down and remind him you're alive. And that such a goal can be counterproductive if you have to constantly be the person to make the move, follow up, ask him out. What are you doing? Where is this going? That's not the right energy we want to have in a relationship, in a courtship dynamic. But that's not what this question is actually about. And I really want to make a distinction. This is exclusively about first contact, the moment when you actually break the ice. This is not necessarily the dynamic you're establishing for the rest of the relationship. So I want to take you back 20 years ago, dating myself again, when I was dating on, say, JDate. Right? I was like the king of JDate. I don't think you could be the king of JDate if you're on for 10 years, but I was on there for a long time. And I would go on there, and this is before I gave dating advice. I would make a list. I would go online, sort of take inventory and look through all the women that I found somewhat attractive, and I'd put them on a favorites list. Match.com now has something called a likes list. Now we have dating apps where we swipe right to make the equivalent list. So basically I was doing the same thing in old school online dating, and I had 50 women on a favorites list. Now, how many people could I reasonably go out with on a given Saturday night? The answer is one. Now, I can't guarantee that anybody I'm talking to is going to want to go out with me. There's going to be some attrition. There's going to be some turnover. Some people are going to reject me. Some people are going to flake out on me. That's understood. But I was pretty confident in my abilities back in the day, so I would be judicious about who I wrote to. I wouldn't write to all 50 women I found attractive. I'd write to 2 or 3 and see where the dialogue went. And a couple people would write to me, and I'd see where the dialogue went. And so I would have, in what we call in Love You, a funnel, right? A number of options that are promising leads that would be in play to see who I would want to take out on Saturday night. So by that token, if you're a woman who's on my favorites list and you saw that I liked you, and you took it personally that I didn't write to you, you misread the situation entirely. To take it personally that I didn't initiate contact with you the day I put you on my list, and to take it to unmatch me or to block me or to, right? That's a complete misreading of that situation. So I remember a statistic that Match.com put out years ago. It said that you have a 40% higher response rate from a guy if he's already looked at your profile. Well, why would that be? Well, because what do we do when we go online? We only look at the people that we think are somewhat attractive. You don't see a guy who's unattractive and be like, this guy's really ugly. I think I'm going to read further. No, we only stop and click on people we find attractive. So it stands to reason that if he looked at you at all, even if he didn't write to you, he finds you somewhat attractive. We tell ourselves this story, well, if he liked me, he'd write to me. That is not true. Everybody has infinite number of options. And we lose sight of that, right? We get in our head How dare he? The right guy should make the first move. He should pursue. Well, put yourself in his shoes. Right? Really, just stop and put yourself in his shoes. If a guy, especially on a dating app where the barrier to entry, the swipe, is so very low, and he's swiping on hundreds of people, how many people could he reasonably write to, follow through with, and actually ask out? So when you get really frustrated that a guy is not doing what you want him to do, understand you're one of 100 people he's doing that with. All right? So let's pause. Let's pause on the reaction, the emotional reaction, the story you tell about the guy who hasn't written to you even though he likes you. And let's reset. Here's the fact. It doesn't matter who initiates. If you refuse to initiate, because he should, and he's the man, right, and the right guy pursues, and again, partially true, but you're missing the point. And if you refuse out of some sort of wounded pride that he's supposed to start the conversation, you're literally missing out on half of online dating. Right? Half of online dating is dealing with the incoming and figuring out who you respond to, and half of online dating is doing outbound leads to the guys that you're interested in without an attachment to what happens. It works both ways. So in Love U, we teach you how to do this. We teach you how to initiate contact in a clever fashion. We call it an opinion opener. Now, once you've made contact the first time, now the ball's in his court. He now has to take the ball, run with it, follow through. But it doesn't matter who started the conversation. That's another terminology that we use in Love U. That's called mirroring. We mirror the guy's behavior once we get past the initial contact. Mirroring is simply not chasing down men. It's not doing exactly what men do. He writes one line, I'm going to write one bad line back. Mirroring is, he texts me, I text him back. Warmly, quickly, enthusiastically. He calls me, I call him back. He says, I want to see you. I'd love to see you. All right, you respond to him in a way that keeps the momentum going without initiating. That doesn't apply to the first contact. So please stop standing on ceremony when you both like each other, find each other attractive on dating apps. Stop punishing him for not writing to you. Stop punishing yourself. Right? It doesn't get you anywhere. In Love U terms, you may be right, but it's not very effective. And I just talked with a client who's in England. I hope she's listening right now. We had this conversation the other night for like 10 minutes on Zoom, and it never even occurred to her that there could be another side of the story. And she was going to actually go back and write to all those guys who she ignored because they didn't write to her first. In a high volume medium, and there's nothing more high volume than a dating app, men are going to respond when they see interest from you. Right? It's a two-way street. So say something cute, start the conversation, and you can thank me later. My name is Evan Mark Katz. Thanks for tuning into the Love U podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click on the subscribe button, ring the bell, choose all to get notified when new content comes out. And if you want a man who makes you feel safe, heard, and understood, go to www.evanmarkkatz.com/apply and watch my free video about how you could fix your broken man picker. When you're done, apply to Love U and join other smart women in a coaching community where you could finally get the love you deserve. I'll see you there.